Hi, my name is Emily Rodriguez, and you are listening to Voz y Vida. Welcome back to an audio exclusive. If it is your first time here, Ahlan wa sahlan. The title of the podcast is Going MIA, and it is in reference to me relocating to Miami and practically going MIA. If you don't know the acronym for MIA, it means missing in action. I want to take this story from the very beginning. And it happened in the summer of 2020. I had visited Miami. It was a solo trip. My daughter was with her dad. And I travel very often. Miami was on my list as one of the destinations that I wanted to visit. Sure enough, booked a flight. And I remember being there for a few days, but one of the days in particular stood out the most. And this is where it all started. I was sitting on the beach and I just felt peace, so much peace. And like I mentioned before, I've traveled to many, many places. And yes, they're beautiful places. I have fun, but home, which was Nevada at that time, was something that I always looked forward to going back to. But Miami, I did not want to go home. And I remember I was sitting on the beach looking at the clouds, and I still have the video of the exact moment that I made the decision that one day I was going to live in Miami. Went back home, created my vision board, and it's so funny because on my vision board, there was a ton of things that now I look back and I'm like, okay, I don't know where that came from. But Miami, I always knew that it was a goal that I wanted to complete. It said, move to Miami, and it had a pretty cute house on it, single family. Now I think a lot bigger than that. Now I'm like, I want Tom Brady's home in Indian Creek. But at that time, I was so small-minded. But the point was that Miami was on my board. And I would look at it every day, and it excited me because I knew in my soul that one day I would make it possible. And then fast forward 2 years later, it's 2022, and it was still lingering on my mind. And then 2023, I was with a client, and at that time I had a lash business. So one of my clients was talking about a girl who had relocated to Las Vegas, and we were talking about how people in your hometown won't support you, but then when you move outside of your city, all of a sudden you become exactly what you were meant to be. And it's because you're surrounded by people who you frequent, who are used to you, who you're comfortable with, or that you've adapted to. And then we started talking about places we wanted to live and if we would ever leave Reno and test the waters and see how things went for us. And as soon as I said, I want to move to Miami, my heart, my whole chest area felt like it was on fire. And I'm pretty in tune with how I feel internally, and I take it as a sign that something is trying to tell me something. And it was just so weird because the second she said, do it, in my mind, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I gave it about a week before I announced to literally everyone that I was moving. Keep in mind, I hadn't even created a plan yet. I created a list of what it would take for me to move. And I had a childhood friend who lived in Miami. I hadn't spoken to him in a while, but I reached out to him and I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to relocate to Miami. How was your experience? What did it take? What do you wish you knew prior to moving? We started chatting. And I had an idea of with $10,000, I'll be fine with moving. I came to find out as time went on, it would take about $30,000 just because I had to transport my car. I had to find a place to live, deposits, security money as well. That included about 3-4 months of rent. House stuff, which adds up very, very fast. And on my list, I only had save $10,000. And then it was sell my home because I owned a condo at that time and I didn't want to rent it out. It wasn't something that I wanted to hold on to. I knew I wanted to sell it. HOA was through the roof, and the numbers did not make sense. That was my biggest hurdle, was listing and selling my condo. Another thing on my list that was a huge determining factor was obviously getting the okay from my daughter's dad that I could relocate her across the country. Imagine I show up one day to pick up and I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm moving in 6 months. And I remember praying to God. I was like, God, if this is not for me, do everything in your power to stop me. The situation with my daughter's dad wasn't smooth, but it wasn't difficult either, just because there was a lot of holding on to egos that was involved. Ultimately, I knew that if it wasn't meant for me, God would work things out so that I could stay if it was in the best interest of all of us. And everything started lining up. And I started questioning myself because I was like, why is this going the way that it's going? It's almost like I wanted to sabotage my dream because I didn't feel like it could be possible for me to make such a big decision and go through with it. The only thing holding me back was my condo wasn't selling. So I was slashing prices, literally just slashing. But I was still making a profit. I had shot way too high because I was being greedy and I wasn't thinking that I need to sell my condo so that I can move. And when I started slashing prices, finally, a month before I moved, keep in mind, I already had my apartment lined up. And so it's funny now that I think about it. When it came to choosing my apartment, it's weird how it happened. I had visited Miami in hopes to find a place to live. It was me, my aunt, my cousin, my daughter, and we stayed at this hotel. And directly across from the hotel, there was this beautiful building. Beautiful. But it was not on my list of buildings to tour. So I went to go tour the ones that I had originally planned. I did not like any of them. They were too apartment-y to me. And we went to go have dinner at the rooftop of the hotel, and I could see the building that I now live in. And I was like, I'm going to live there. I'm going to tour there and I'm going to live there. I toured it and I fell in love. And I left it up to God to direct me towards where I live now. And it unfolded so beautifully. I didn't think I would get approved. I got approved and I was like, wow, this is so crazy. I had the person who was taking my car lined up, but I hadn't sold my house. So how could I move if I hadn't sold my house when I was relying on the profits from my house to make the transition? And at the last moment, picture this. I have a cash buyer, quick close. And if you're in real estate, you know that a cash buyer is a golden egg, especially when they're paying what you're asking for. And the things that they had listed as things they wanted fixed, stuff like that, it was not difficult at all. I sold my condo at the very last minute, and I put it in my mind that if anything were to get in the way as far as me being able to relocate my daughter, I would deal with it in that moment the best way that I could, because there was no way I'm leaving my baby in Nevada and I'm going to go live my life in Miami. That's not the point. Me as a mom, my drive, my strength, my love, my light is being a mother. So it didn't make sense for me to go live in Miami by myself, test out the waters, and then go back to Nevada and bring her. The moment you begin to accept that things are going to be hard, but you have the strength, you have the mental capacity, you have the creativity to push through it, put it in your mind that it's something that you want, and don't stop. Don't ever stop. It may take days, weeks, months, years. Just go in with the expectation that it is going to take years. Whether it's you want to move across the country, you want to move to a different continent, anything you want to do, obsess over it, plan for it, think about it, pray on it, write about it, make things unfold for you because you deserve it. You deserve to pursue the best version of you. A couple weeks before moving, no one believed me, okay? Not one soul. No, I'm kidding. Maybe one soul. But everyone else, I think it's just delusion, like you hold on to people so tight that when they're moving at a different pace, you almost act as if you don't see it because it hurts. It hurts to have a family member move away, or it hurts to have a relationship move away, or your child move away. So the best coping mechanism you can do is I won't react until I see it. And I did everything on my own. My car, transportation, selling my home, saving money, working both businesses. So selling homes and doing my lash business. Like, I went ham because I got so obsessed with this fire desire to pack up my things and start a new life in Miami, where I only knew one person, no family, no help, nothing. We got here and it was rough. Let me tell you, it was rough because keep in mind, I have a very good family. They've helped me tremendously with my daughter. They have allowed me to work the way that I work, be creative the way that I am, because I have so much support with my daughter. Same thing with her dad. So much support that I was able to complete these tasks and make this dream of mine come true. But once I was here, that support, that caretaking, that availability was not here. And I didn't plan for that emotionally. So when I got here, being with her every single day and not having my routine, not having my schedule was extremely overwhelming for me. Everything just got thrown at me. And I think that's what happens is we pursue our dreams and then the hurdles come and we get scared and we back out. But me, I pursued my dream, the hurdles came, and I just kept pushing because I put in my mind that I have no options. I'm staying here. I said I was going to do this and that's it. And sure enough, every hurdle that came, the biggest hurdle being my car. When my car got transported, it was not working. The guy had said it was a dead battery. It was not a dead battery. It was a whole mechanical issue with the computer system. And took it into the shop. Keep in mind, I know nobody here. So finding a mechanic that I could trust, that was overwhelming for me because I was used to my uncle doing all of my mechanic work. And not having him here was a lot for me because I'm just a girl who knows nothing about cars, okay? Finding my mechanic was God sent because he was able to fix it. It cost $2,000. And not having a car when I first moved here, I look back and I cried so much because it was a lot. So when I didn't have my car, I had to sign up my daughter for school. She was starting school soon. And I remember here in Florida, when it rains, it pours. And the streets start to flood. It gets nasty. And the school is maybe about 7-8 minute walk from here. So I said, okay, we can do this. We'll be fine. No rain boots, no rain jacket. I'm in chanclas. My daughter's in chanclas. I'm in jeans. She thankfully had shorts on. So we're walking to the school. I'm already filled with anxiety because they have a list of things that you need for the school. I only had 2 of them. And we're walking to the school, and I kid you not, the water is maybe shin deep. So imagine me cargando una niña through shin deep water with jeans on and chanclas, and it's windy, so my umbrella is just swishing everywhere. I started to cry. I literally just started to cry my eyes out because I was like, what is going on? Why is this so difficult? And so we get to the school. I have tears in my eyes. The front desk woman could care less about my emotions. And she's like, do you have the stuff to sign up for your daughter? Of course, yeah, here. Knowing I didn't have all of it. And she's like, you're missing your proof of residence. I had my lease, but they wanted something from the post office. And I was like, I have the email, but I don't have the physical copy. And she looked at me, she's like, you need the physical copy. I started crying because I was like, my daughter starts school in 2 days and I don't have it. I feel like an incompetent mother because She's not going to be able to start school. She's going to be the new kid. And all these things started coming up in my mind. And then finally she's like, okay, she signed up. Have a great day. I'm still crying. I'm like, what was that? Why are you so mean? And I come home and I just sit. My daughter needs my attention. And I just, honestly, at that moment, I was drained. And I remember just crying. And that's when my journey with my faith, my journaling, my meditation, I was looking for everything to help me. Not drugs or alcohol. I wanted it to be an internal workshop for me. And it wasn't a quick fix. It's taken a lot of time and I'm still growing through that. But I would say anybody who's looking to relocate, it's going to be rough. It's going to cost money. There are going to be things that you did not think of planning for. But as long as you have it in your head that you're going to keep pushing and you're going to get through it, you're going to be all right. Every single day, one step at a time. And this relocation has taught me to literally focus on the days. Just focus on the day that you're in. Do you have everything that you need? Your mind is going to tell you that you made the worst decision ever and you're the worst person ever. And how could you be so selfish and you had it so good where you were? And it's true. I had it so good where I was, but I was comfortable. And that's the point of this is I was so comfortable where I was that I hadn't expanded myself enough to understand how to flow through this process. And now I have lived here for 9 months and I'm just flowing. I'm flowing because I understand that there's so much more that I can't control than what I can control. And I'm learning about myself every single day, such as how dependent I was on that comfort. And now that I'm basically in rehab is the best way I could put it. I'm in rehab, but the most beautiful rehab I could be in, away from the noise, the distractions, and I have the ability to create a new lifestyle that I never thought was possible. But since I took that leap, I'm now in it. I'm now creating it. And I'm excited to see what the future has for me. I'm excited to see if Miami will be home for many, many years. I hope so, but I don't want to cling on to it because I think that God has something better always. And when you cling on to something so tight, you miss that blessing. And I don't want to miss any blessings. So when I say I'm just going through a flow state, I'm just flowing. Find your flow. Is there anywhere that you've ever wanted to relocate to that would make you feel uncomfortable short term, but beautiful long term? Because when we look at a span of 5 years, 10 years versus 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, you see how everything just works out for you. And that all the worrying, all the stress, all the contemplations, all the doubt cannot compare to how things have unfolded long term. This is my voice and this is my story. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Ciao.